High on Mount Everest, there comes a moment when logic fades and obsession takes control. The summit is close, the body is failing, the clock is screaming to turn back, and yet climbers keep going. This phenomenon has a name. It is called summit fever. Summit fever is not a disease of the lungs or the legs. It is a condition of the mind. It strikes climbers after weeks of preparation, months of training, and years of dreaming. By the time a climber reaches the upper slopes of Everest, they have already invested everything: money, time, reputation, and identity. Turning back no longer feels like a decision. It feels like failure. Above 26,000 feet, the death zone begins. Oxygen levels drop to a point where the human brain cannot function properly. Judgment weakens, risk assessment collapses, confidence rises even as physical ability disappears. This is the perfect environment for summit fever to take hold. The brain convinces the climber that the summit is just a little higher, just one more push. Climbers often set strict turnaround times, a point at which they must descend, regardless of how close they are. But summit fever turns these rules into suggestions. The closer the summit appears, the harder it becomes to abandon it. When the peak is visible above the clouds, the mind whispers a dangerous lie. You didn't come this far to quit. Psychologically, summit fever is fueled by sunk cost fallacy. The climber has paid tens of thousands of dollars. They have risked relationships, careers, and years of effort. Turning back means admitting it was all for nothing. Death in that moment does not feel real. Failure does. Peer pressure also plays a powerful role. When other climbers are moving upward, turning around feels like weakness. No one wants to be the first to quit. In thin air, group movement creates false safety. If others are climbing, it must still be possible. This assumption has killed many. Guides and Sherpas often recognize summit fever before the climber does. They see the signs: slow movement, tunnel vision, emotional stubbornness. But even experienced guides face resistance. A climber infected with summit fever may argue, ignore warnings, or continue upward without consent. In the death zone, authority dissolves. Each person becomes responsible only for themselves. As oxygen deprivation worsens, the brain loses its ability to imagine consequences. Climbers stop thinking about the descent. They forget that reaching the summit is only half the journey. Most deaths on Everest do not happen on the way up. They happen on the way down. Summit fever narrows focus to a single goal: the summit. Everything else, weather changes, frostbite, exhaustion, failing oxygen systems, becomes background noise. The mind filters out danger and amplifies desire. At extreme altitude, desire becomes deadly. History is filled with examples. Climbers stepping over dying teammates, ignoring turnaround times by hours, continuing upward despite failing oxygen masks. These are not acts of cruelty. They are symptoms. One of the most tragic aspects of summit fever is how calm it feels. Climbers often report a strange sense of peace as they continue upward. Fear fades, urgency disappears. The summit feels inevitable. This calm is not courage. It is hypoxia. At a certain point, turning back becomes physically impossible. Energy reserves are gone, the body is damaged, the brain is malfunctioning. The choice to continue upward has already sealed the outcome. Summit fever does not kill instantly, it traps. Sherpas understand this reality deeply. Many refuse to climb past certain times or conditions, no matter the money offered. They know that the mountain does not negotiate. Western climbers often underestimate this wisdom. Experience teaches caution. Obsession ignores it. What makes summit fever so dangerous is that it feels personal. Climbers believe they are different, that they have trained harder, that they can push a little further. Everest does not care. The mountain treats confidence and weakness the same. Summit fever reveals a brutal truth about human psychology. When a goal defines identity, letting go feels worse than dying. At extreme altitude, where the brain is already compromised, this mindset becomes lethal. This is why experienced climbers repeat the same rule. The summit is optional. Coming back is mandatory. But summit fever silences that wisdom. It replaces it with a single thought: I'm too close to stop. In the end, summit fever is not about Everest. It is about the human inability to quit when quitting is the only way to survive. The mountain simply exposes it. Every frozen body near the summit tells the same story. They were close, and that closeness cost them everything. On Mount Everest, the most dangerous step is often not the first one upward. It is the moment you choose not to turn back.